All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening to this new episode of the Real Concrete Coding Talk Pod. It's been a while since I've actually had an episode in a podcast. So, guys, I'm really sorry about that. But just things have been really, really crazy over here. But I have a very special guest with me today. And I wanted to bring her onto the podcast because we kind of just like ran into each other a little bit, but we have some mutual connections. But we ran into each other a little bit more recently because she's been working on something really, really awesome. And it is a lot to do with all service businesses in North America, specifically the United States. And actually, there's a huge amount of urgency to this, like way more urgent than we realize. And it needs to be handled very, very quickly. And so I thought if I would have known more about it sooner, we probably would have got you in earlier. But I think this is a really important time to get you in here and really kind of get some awareness around what's happening and talk about what it is that you have going on. So off for the introduction. So tell me a little bit about your name, company, and what it is that you do.
Awesome. Well, first off, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it and helping me spread awareness about this. So I'm really, really excited to dig in. So hey guys, my name's Amber Jones. I'm with Empowered HomePros, and pretty much my goal has always been to help home service providers get enough information to make educated decisions for their business, right? We have so many different hats that we have to wear as business owners. And sometimes you just need enough information to make the best decision that best suits your needs. So that's kind of always been my goal. More recently, well, not more recently, I also am co-owner of KJ's Window Cleaning. So my husband and I have a window cleaning company for the last 5 years. And so those are kind of my two little niches that I do and that I help with. So I don't know if you want me to jump into the spill specifically. What I've been focusing on here lately is really just focusing on a lot of the changes that are going on with new regulations and things in regards to our phone calls and our text messages. It's a really boring subject, to be quite honest with you. It's a very intimidating subject.
Yeah, so what is exactly happening right now? What's going on?
Yeah, so we'll jump right into that. So what's going on right now is, I'm trying to do the short version of it, right? But ever since 1991, there has been an uptick of spam calls and scammers, right? So there's actually a difference between scam and spam, right? So a scam is literally someone out there pretending to be someone they're not, coming up with fraud stuff to steal money, essentially. Now, then you've got the spammers, right? So the spammers are just people that are calling you, that are reaching out to you that you don't want, right? You've told them, hey, take me off your list. And so this all started in 1991, and the FCC here in the United States, the FCC, the FTC, over these last 30 plus years, they have been combating spammers and scammers because they just keep getting smarter and smarter. And everything they try to put in place, the scammers and spammers, they outsmart them. I don't want to say that. Let me be careful. But they come up with new methods, right? Yep. And so right now they're just cracking the whip. And long story short, they're cracking the whip. There's up to 40 billion spam and scam calls per month that these guys are trying to combat, right? And so with that being said, yeah, what's up?
So the interesting thing about this is every single one of us has been in contact with a scam or spammer, right?
Yes.
With phone calls. I get it almost 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day.
Yeah.
Depends on the day. I get tons of phone calls. And now, it's, in fact, they're getting so good, even on the digital marketing side. I will get emails from my clients with people pretending to be reps of Facebook.
Yeah.
Saying that their accounts have been suspended and to click this link to go through the process of getting it reinstated. And it's got the logo, it's got the pictures, and it's got like the photos. Everything looks legit except for the email that it came from, right? And so all I do is I look at it and I'm like, nope, scam, don't worry about it. If a Facebook ad account was suspended, I would definitely know, right? So,
Right.
the point is just like, it's just so, they're getting so smart
Yeah.
and always trying to outdo the next thing. And so it's just an ongoing thing. So it's actually no surprise to me that you're actually here now.
Yeah. Like if you'll notice a pattern, I don't know if you notice logging into Google, everything now has the two-factor authentication.
Mhm.
Now there's a blue check verify for just about everything, right? So literally all of the different ways that these spammers and scammers can get along, like everything is getting harder, even for us to log into our own stuff, right? We're in the age now where you have to verify and prove you are who you are. And that's essentially what they're doing with phone calls and text messages. Think of it as like the blue check mark, so to speak, for your phone, right? And
here's the thing too, like I think if you, and you probably can agree with this, and I've actually had clients tell me like a lot of their leads don't answer the phone.
right.
And you know what? And the truth is, like, I've been doing this marketing since 2017. Before that, I actually had a minute business. That's probably how we actually got mutual connections.
Yeah.
It's gotten way worse over the last probably 2-3 years even.
Yeah.
I've never seen it so bad.
It's horrible.
Right? Like this is, and in fact, this year is probably the worst I've ever seen it.
Oh yeah. But it, 10x, 20x, however much you want to call it, like it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, for sure. So sorry to take you off track there. I just
no worries.
So that's kind of like the urgency we're facing now, isn't it? Like, tell me a bit about what they're doing at the FCC that you're talking about.
Yeah. So I guess let me take a step back and kind of share how I even stumbled upon it. Right.
Perfect.
So the recent changes that is with the TCPA. Okay. So you've got the FCC, and then they put in place what's called the TCPA. And I've got this cool little chart that I know a lot of the podcast listeners can't see it, right? But I'll share access and links. So everything that I'm talking about, I'm a visual person.
Yes.
And like the colors and things, it helps me grasp it. But essentially, you got the FCC who put in place the TCPA, and then like it's like this big umbrella of all these little things that we have to check mark as business owners. And it's almost like we're guilty until we prove we're innocent of not being spammers, right? And who can blame them, right? They don't have the time to sort like and who's a scammer, who's not. So they're saying, hey, it's your responsibility as a business owner to get us what we need to make sure that we can label your phone number correctly, make sure we do all these different check marks. And the backstory of how I even stumbled upon this was with my window cleaning company. First off, I knew about this 2 years ago. I will raise my hand and say that I am guilty. They were talking about this 2 years ago. They were putting the FCC and the phone carriers, they were putting deadlines out 2 years ago. I don't know if you heard of it like a few years back. And I shrugged it off because I'm like, what is this, right? Like, it's confusing. It makes my head hurt. And then it wasn't until...
It won't apply to us because,
right.
Care about us. So we're
I'm not a spammer. I'm not a scammer. Exactly. I don't have anything to worry about, right? Like, that's what I thought. And it wasn't until around October of last year, we were trying to... I actually had a landscaping company had promoted us to their list. And so we had generated some leads legitimately, right? Legitimately, they actually recommended us, and we were trying to contact these leads, and we were having a hard time getting in touch with them. And finally, when the guy picks up, he says, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know it was you. Your number popped up as spam likely." What? Like, what's going on here? And then it happened again within like 2 weeks.
Yep.
And so I knew it. Yeah, I knew it happened. But yet again, I was pregnant, right, at the time. And I'm like, I shrugged it off. I'm like, you know what, whatever. This is like a fluke thing, right? But then I kept hearing about it over and over and over again. And that's kind of what brought it back up again for me about 2 months ago. I started digging and going down this rabbit hole. It started off with like, why am I tagged as spam likely? And that's the beginning of the rabbit hole. And I went through all this rabbit hole up and down, left and right. And oh my gosh. I said, this is about to hit the fan. As a matter of fact, these regulations, they've extended it and extended it and extended it. And I want to say a few weeks back, Twilio officially said, look, guys, starting June 1st, if you haven't done this, AT&T and T-Mobile, they're going to start charging you higher fees for your text messages. And then July 5th, we're going to have to start filtering out partially your text messages. And then by August 31st, if you don't do this, you will officially be blocked. Like, they've bluntly said it, right? So that's kind of how I got on this rabbit hole. And the more and more I studied it and checked it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, let me do some random tests. So I pulled 100 home service. As a matter of fact, they were pressure washing companies, just random 100 numbers. I ran 100 numbers and I checked what their caller ID said, and 35% of them spam likely.
No way.
And then of those, 3 of them were actually reported as fraud to the FTC. And these were people that had at least 100 online reviews. Like, I made sure to say, hey, let me make sure I'm checking legitimate companies here, right? So if anyone has 100 online reviews, they're probably legit, right? And that's why I'm like, oh my gosh, there's multiple things that are going in place right now. But the most important deadline that I'm trying to get people's attention awareness to is that of what's called the A2P 10DLC. I don't know how much you want me to dig into that, but essentially, it's going to affect text messages specifically. It's going to affect whether they block you or not, your text messages.
I do have a question on that. So is it also relevant to phone numbers that are already provided, like on my cell phone, for example, right, from the carriers themselves?
Right. So it really depends on how you run your business. This mostly affects, so A2P stands for application to person, okay? When you have your mobile phone, that's person to person, right?
Okay.
And so person to person, that was meant to be literally one-to-one kind of text messaging, maybe if you're texting a group, right, of friends. But it was never essentially meant to be used for business, right? And so what happens is these companies like Grasshopper, Vonnage, Nextiva, Twilio, these companies come out with like voice over IP, and they're designed A2P, which means application to person, right? So this involves if you're doing automated messaging, if you're doing like push button, here's your invoice type messaging, reminder sequence messaging. If you're doing group text message where you have a list of like 2,000 customers and you want to blast your list, guys, stop blasting your list. Right. But yeah, so that's what it affects, the A2P. So I guess the question is, if you're running your business off of just your cell phone only, right? You don't have to worry about it as much. You do still need to check your phone reputation, your caller ID, what's popping up on that. But if you're a small company and you're just using your personal cell phone only, you're not using like CRM to deliver messages or anything like that, you don't need to worry about it as much. But definitely if you're a bigger company, you've got any automated messages, those are the things that they're going to be looking at.
And I mean, there's going to be tons of questions with this. I can already feel it.
Right.
I mean, that's a good thing because then if you guys are feeling like this isn't going to affect you,
right?
Then you got to recheck your feelings because
it's going to affect everyone. Every
single business in the United States, and then Canada is next if they're not already on it now. And so, the reality is this is a good thing, guys.
It is
actually a pain in the ass. It's a total pain in the ass. Trust me, I have a list of clients that I have to deal with all of their outbound text messages, right? So I'm trying to come up with ways, and I have to register every single one of those phone numbers and try to get approval. I have to get licenses or corporation numbers from businesses. I have to upload documents. I have to do this whole entire thing. But guess what? One and done.
One and done.
Right?
Yeah.
Do it
for this
once.
registration as well. And then think about it. Like most people won't do it, right? Like your competition probably won't do it. And if you do this, you're automatically going to be boosting yourself. Like it's an automatic increase in response rate.
Yep.
Now, yeah, but especially after they start blocking the other people, right?
Yep. Because if you think about it, guys, most of the time, so all of these A2P, right, application to person systems, so high level,
Yep.
Vonnage, Grasshopper, CallRail, all your CRMs, Jobber, all of them, they, like you said, tap into the Twilio resources in the bank. It's not up to them to do this for you.
Right.
It's just not. If they do it, they're going to charge you probably quite a bit. So,
Yeah.
you know, you're better off just handling it, or reach out to Amber and let her take care of it for you. I mean, this is why she's here, is to be the resource for you guys so that you can continue running your business, right? And I really like that you said about the open rate, sorry, the answer rate, we'll call it, because that's exactly what it is. Previously to all this happening, when it wasn't as strict, and I can already see it's happening so much more, reply rates on a text message, right? Or I used to tell my clients, what's an open rate on a text message? 100%.
Right. It's awesome. It's awesome.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So
See,
yeah, it was like
answer your phone, right? If you don't
I know I say
have-
it's like we were in the wild, wild west, right? Where there really wasn't any laws. You kind of do what you wanted to. You could do your voice drops. You could text message blast. You could cold. I'm not going to implicate myself. You could cold text message if done properly, right?
Yes.
You know, these things weren't really heavily enforced, and now it's
been abused,
got to be
right?
it's not the Wild West anymore.
Yep. It's
Yeah.
been abused, and they don't have a choice. And then the other thing too, like I was saying, is one thing that you guys a lot might not even realize, and you should check this by easily calling another phone number that it doesn't have you in as a contact, is caller ID. The actual name of your business listed on the phone will guarantee huge call answer rates. Because here's the thing, they filled out the form on your website for a reason. They need help from you. So if they're not answering the phone, it's not a bad lead. They just don't know who it is.
Right.
How many, and like, guys, think about this when you're listening to this. How many times have you answered the phone when it said spam likely? How many times
Never.
have you answered the phone when it's an area code out of your state or province?
Yeah.
I never do.
Yeah. They actually said it's about I think I want to say it was like a 98% of people will not, if it says spam likely, 98% of your people are not going to answer. And if it is a local number that's like a unrecognized number, 70% of people will not answer.
You want to know something? I have an Android device. This is a Pixel 7 Pro. Okay, not that I'm trying to promote it. I probably shouldn't even have said that. But in any case, what was I going to say? When it's a spam likely type recognized number, the device itself blocks it. It doesn't even ring. It's blocked automatically.
Oh yeah, and that's built in natively to your devices. So it used to be that people would go out and buy these apps called like Robocaller or Nomo Robo. They'd spend like $50 a year, and it would be this crowdsourced data. And if you got a spam call, they would mark it as spam. And if you got flagged too much, then everyone that down the 50 million people that have it automatically be blocked. Now it's built in natively to your phone. So you've got the individual carriers are tracking this. The FTC has their own list. And now even Android and Apple devices have their own list. All you guys, look at your cell phone. Look at your cell phone, take it out, look at text, and it's text messages too, guys. Go to your text messages to a number that's not currently saved. And at the bottom, it'll say something like this. This number is not saved as a contact. Do you want to report as spam? Then you click the button and it'll say, do you want to report to spam to your carrier and to Apple and Android?
Yep.
And if you really want to have some fun, go to ftc.gov. It literally within 5 clicks, I believe, I actually counted it and I forget the number, but literally in like 2 minutes, there's a big button that says report fraud. They click the button on the homepage, and then they have like 10 options. And right there, it says, I received an annoying call. They fill out a form. And once you're reported to the FTC, your number is toast. Like, it's done. You need to trash it and get a whole new phone number.
Yeah. So we were both on that Twilio webinar a couple weeks ago. So
yeah,
there was lots of people on that webinar. And I'm telling you guys, don't take this lightly, because you'll be left in the dark. Your competitors might get it figured out. And then guess what? They're taking all your business. Like, if you guys are really struggling with people responding to your text messages and phone calls, there's a really high probability that, one, you don't have caller ID, two, you don't have your phone number registered, and three, you could be showing a spam likely, or four, doesn't even show up on the device because it goes immediately blocked.
It's immediately being blocked.
Right? So register your phone, right? And there is a process to this. It's not like you just simply fill out some form online and submit it and then you're good. You have to actually, there's multiple steps to this, right, Amber?
Right. So I've got this other chart here, and I'll share this with you guys too if you want to come back to the podcast notes. But there's essentially like 5 things that you need to focus on, okay? So the first thing you want to do is you want to go to your specific phone carrier, okay? So whether that be like for your business, okay? So whether that be your Grasshopper, Dialpad, Nextiva, each phone carrier or phone service provider, they have their own process to create what's called a business profile. So you need to contact them and say, hey, how do I create a business profile? And what that's going to do is they'll give you an option to say, hey, what do you want to show as your caller ID? What is your business address? What do you want? So they're going to go through whatever process they need to verify that you are a legitimate business. Now, I want to preface this by saying, even what shows up on your caller ID, it is still kind of the wild, wild west. Just because you go to your phone service provider and say, I want this to show on my caller ID, it does not guarantee that your name is going to pop up. Now, you can have a little bit of control on removing the spam flags and that's a different conversation. But I just wanted to preface it by saying, like, there is no guarantee. There's steps that you can do to help it make it show. But things are such a moving target right now with these regulations that part of it is not guaranteed. But what I can guarantee you is that, you need to create a business profile, because that's going to be the first thing we need to do is make sure you don't pop up as spam, right? That's the first thing. So contact your phone carrier and ask them, what is the steps I need to take to create a business profile? Make sure you have your address, your business address, your legal business name, your legal business address. So what actually is showing up on your LLC what does it show in your actual documents? Because most times they're going to reference the database of what your business is registered as. So sadly, what that means too is us solopreneurs, right? Like, I understand if you have a hustle, right? Yep. But take the steps to at least, get your DBA, get whatever you need to become an official business owner, okay? Because that's what they're going to be looking for. Your email address. When you register, they do not allow Gmail addresses when you register your business profile. So what that means is if you have a website, abcfloorcoating.com, right? Go to whomever you bought your domain from and say, hey, can you help me set up an email address that says amber@abcfloorcoating.com? Right?
So basically that's like, what is it now called? Google Workspace? I think that's what it's called.
You can do Google, you can do Google Workspace. You can even do it for free. Like sometimes, like what I'll do is I'll go inside of like Namecheap or whatever. I'll go in my domain name and you can just create the email address and then forward it to your Gmail. So that way, if you're like, I don't want to log into something else, right? Like, I get it. But you can still set that email address up. Go to where you bought your domain name from. Ask them, how can I create an email address to forward? So there's lots of, like, you don't even have to come out of pocket, technically, to do that. But it's better to have a workspace.
Exactly. I was going to say, for the record, right?
Yeah.
honestly, I think it's probably in your best interest to have a professional email for your service business.
Right.
I
Right.
guess starting out a Gmail in the beginning is the way.
Was it like $5 a month or something like that for workspace? Something like that, up to $20 if you do. Anyway, that's a whole nother.
Yeah, there's different packages, but you know what, guys? Like it's you got to do it. It's just so
it's your business. Yeah.
But anyway.
So yeah, that's the first thing you want to do is register your business profile. The next thing you want to do is, now that you've registered your business profile with your phone service provider, now you want to go to the big networks, AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon. Now, because guess what? They have their own database too. So now you need to update that information in their database. And you can do that by going to freecallerregistry.com. Yeah, freecallerregistry.com.
You're going to provide that for us, though, right?
Yeah.
Is it going to be like all the stuff that you're going to be sharing with us? Or
yeah, these are all the things that I'll be sharing. I've got a Facebook group that has all these things, and I'll be sure to share these links too for you as well. So freecallerregistry.com. And this is a form that goes, you fill out one form and it goes to all 3 carriers. And so what it does is again, you're going to need all that information as well. What's your call volume, which you don't have to worry about that. Most companies, I'd imagine, are making 20,000 calls or less per month. So you're good. So just fill that form out. That is another thing that can help with that. So those are the 2 things, the business profile. So the next thing you want to do is go back to your service provider. There's a couple other things you got to do. You got to register as a brand. Okay, so you've got your business profile, and then registering as a brand is showing, you're going to be telling them, okay, what do I register as? It's just another type of profile, essentially.
Another step in the process.
Yeah. Then you want to add, and they should have these all in the same area. For Twilio, for example, it's called Trust Hub. In high level, it's called Trust Center, I think. But they have like a specific thing where they have all they should be lined up of what you need to do. The next thing you might see in that Trust Hub or Trust Center is called Stir Shaken. Okay. Again, it's another registration, but what this is going to help do is help prevent from caller ID spoofing. Okay. So what spoofing essentially is when a scammer steals your legitimate caller ID. They say, oh, they've registered their caller ID. I'm going to steal it and spoof it. Right. For you guys that maybe have used, what's that thing? Oh, what's that one? I can't think of it. There's a service that you can do like voice drops, and they'll say, what do you want to show on your caller ID? And you can actually manually put in whatever you want. Right. So these scammers are doing something similar. They're stealing other people's caller ID. And so what essentially Shake and Stir does is when you do a call going out, imagine like your phone, you do a call out, and then there's this pit stop. And this pit stop says, hey, I need to double check, is this caller ID attached to this phone number and this business? Okay, boom, check, verify, boom. Now we can go ahead and send this call out or this text, same thing, call out, right?
Seconds, you don't even notice it.
Yeah, we won't notice it, but this is what's going on in the background, right? And then on the receiver side, they're going to say, oh, is this caller ID legit? Okay, boom, let's plug it in. That's essentially what Stir Shaken is. It's like a driver's license, so to speak, right? We've got our driver's license. It shows who we are, and we're trying to get into a club, right? Yeah. So what do they say? Let me check your ID, right? That's essentially what Stir Shaken is like, okay? Yeah. So you want to make sure to register for that. It's forms. It's forms that you fill out. And then you attach your phone number to that.
Yep.
The big thing that has the biggest deadlines right now is to register for the A2P 10 DLC, which pretty much means if you are using an application person, like we talked about before, your dial pad, your high level, your Vonnage, your Nextiva, right? Anything to automate messages. What you need to do is that registration. If you're using that and you have a 10-digit long code number, meaning you're saying, hey, I'm using a local area code because people will answer. Okay. So those are the kind of the criteria. If you're doing those 2 things, you need to fill out the A2P 10DLC. Okay, so what that pretty much means is they're going through, and let me look at my notes. Right, so here's what they're going to look at. They're going to look at, okay, what messages are you sending? Oh, first off, let me rewind. They're going to say, how are you generating your leads? So that means they're going to look at your website, right? They're going to say, so you have to tell them, I'm generating my leads by a form on my website, or maybe they're texting a long code, right? Or maybe they call me for, either way, you have to tell them, how are you getting your leads?
Hold on before you move on past that, because this is really, really important. So hold that thought for a second.
Okay.
Okay. Because I went through this process a couple of times already. And don't lie about it, because they will figure it out. So,
oh, yeah.
Because think about it, you're just like everyone else in this big, huge slew of paperwork that they got to deal with. And if you're an anomaly because you lied, they're not going to approve you. And you only get 3 shots, by the way, I think, right? Is it only just 3 chances to get verified?
Yeah. I mean, well, let me put it this way. Every time you do it, you're going to have to pay the fees again. So
yeah, and there's also fees attached to that as well.
There's fees attached.
That's the thing, right? So just be transparent about what it is that you're doing.
Yeah.
And don't feel guilty about the type of marketing that you've been doing, as long as you've been doing it the right way. So if you have been spamming people and you say that's what you do, obviously it's going to be a problem. But I don't think that's going to be the case in 99.9% of all of you listening to this podcast, right?
Right.
I think that you just be very open and honest about what it is that you do. If you do send like quarterly updates by text message to, book a window cleaning, right? Then that's fine. They just want to know what it is that you're doing, so that they can control out, right? Or am I wrong on that?
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. So yeah, and especially like on your web, and you were on that call too, where Twilio was like, no, it is a manual process. Like human beings have to check and verify, which is why it's taken so long. Because they actually are, like, whatever website you put it, they're gonna go check it. So show them, say, hey, it's okay. Yeah, they opt into my form. So that's number one. But number two, do they have specific consent, express written consent? So there's different levels of consent. So do they have explicit written consent to contact them? So meaning we have to go back, like, and I'd have to do it too. I had to go back to my website and add a check mark and verbiage that says something like, you give us, by filling out this form, you give us express written consent to contact you via email, text message, and phone call. You also have to let them know that sometimes it will be automated, right? Like they give you the specific jargon that you have to actually put on there. And I see people skirting around that too. And they're just saying, oh, I consent to receive text messages. And that may or may not get approved. They literally give you an example of the specific thing it has to say. You have to say that phone, text, and email. So you have to let them know. You also have to let them know that it might be automated, sometimes using automated systems. And of course, the marketer in me, I cringe because I'm like, oh, it's going to lower conversion rates. Like,
but in a way it doesn't, because they'll actually respect that.
True.
And also you'll know that every time someone submits a form, they're good to go.
Higher quality.
Yeah. So the other thing that I've been doing as well, and I know you might slap my hand on this one, but I just put and I got approval from Twilio on it, so maybe it'll be okay as well if you did it this way. I didn't do the check mark thing, but it is not a bad idea. But I just did a disclaimer. Yeah. By submitting this form, you automatically agree to receive SMS notifications, right? Updates and email and phone, and being able to be contacted by phone and all that. I don't know exactly the verbiage on it, but I just did a disclaimer and screenshot that and sent it over in my verification process, and it seemed to be fine.
Yeah.
So
and
really,
that's the other thing too, is like that their strictness is changing too. I think there are other people that when they first registered before, that it seemed to be more lenient, and now it's just, you never know. It's almost like better safe than sorry. But yeah, that definitely should work. Like by clicking this, as long as you clearly state by clicking the submit form, right? And then you put that jargon in, you should be good. Make sure that your software or whomever your web person is doing, make sure that you document the date that they submit the form. Most times you have that, right? That's just to cover your hymen. So that's one thing you want to know. The other thing, like, is really good to have before you even try to fill out this form for the A2P is go ahead and have copy and paste the exact text message that someone gets when they opt in, right? So if you get so for instance, for us, when people opt in, we send them an email and a text message automatically. So go ahead and copy and paste that verbatim. Make sure that message has your name in it, or at least the company. You have to identify who you are in that text message. Also give them a way to opt out. Like, so even if it's like a PS, you have to say like, oh, if you prefer not to receive text messages, please reply end or stop, right? Yep. So you have to have explicit opt-out language. So they're going to ask you a couple of, and then you have to give them 2 examples of the text messages that you sent. So go ahead and have that stuff ready. Like, just have a list of your business information, have it like in a document. So all you have to do is copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. It makes it a lot easier. You might miss a couple of things, but it makes the whole process less stressful. Yeah. You also have to, they're going to ask you like, how do they opt out, right? So you have to say, our messages, have a way that they can reply end or whatever keywords to opt out. So it gets a little bit tricky, right? It kind of sucks. Also, the other thing that you want to keep in mind is, I know you brought up a point like, hey, if you are sending promotional messages, go ahead and register that. Some of the feedback that I've been getting is to register your standard messages first. Like that campaign for like your confirmed opt-in, do that one first and get that approved. So that way your number will be approved, and then go back and do like the messages, the actual, like the promotional register. They're technically supposed to be registered as separate campaigns, technically.
Gotcha.
But there might be some leeway on that if you register it as like mixed, like, hey, I send mixed messages there. But there's a lot of strategy on the back end, back and forth. But the bottom line is get your business information kind of copy paste ready. Example of your example of the messages, and also screenshot. So screenshot your actual web form. Screenshot the actual consent. Those are things we have to actually submit when you're actually doing that. So those are kind of the things that you want to register for. At some point, you want to make sure that you're double checking your contact list against the do not call list if you're in the United States. This is something that if you call or text people that are on the do not call list, I have to be careful what I say here. Let's just say some people have a side hustle of suing companies, intentionally looking for companies that will not follow these regulations. And so one of the biggest things is just double checking that, like, hey, you're not on the do not call it. Like, just scrub your list. You take your whole list, and just scrub it on that. The other biggest thing is, did I miss something? What you got?
No, I was just one thought that I have is the one thing that you guys have to understand is, like, for example, we use like I call it Lead Crusher, but it's just a white label version of High Level. Right. I'm not hiding anything. Everyone's using it. But the truth is its default is one number, right? There is a default. So if you have a list of, or like a whole slew of like tracking numbers, that should be like at the last of your priority. I probably wouldn't worry about it right now because it's only just people calling in, right? And then if there is any automation going out, it's going to be from that default number that was chosen when you got it all set up. So really, that's the one that is a big focus, is getting that done. Right.
Any numbers that are doing any outgoing, that's going to be the outbound. Those are going to be, like, if eventually you want to check all of them, but that's because we're dealing with deadlines, definitely anything going outbound, that should absolutely be the priority. One thing you could even do too that we started doing is we on our messages said, hey, be sure to keep a lookout for a phone. Like, we told them where to look out for a phone number from, or even, hey, save this number. Like on our thank you page, we have a button. If it's on mobile, it says click here to save our phone number as a contact, so you don't miss our call.
How does that work? How do you do that? Do you know? Is it really complicated to do, or?
It's a little bit of code off the top of my head.
I think it's probably Google it, eh?
Yeah, no, it actually is really cool. I mean, I could tell you the techie how to do it absolutely later, but yeah, it's just the button, and then usually it's just SMS, and you plug in the phone number, and it's almost like I don't know if you've ever did a button where it says click here to email us.
Yes.
It's very similar to that. And then you can even I'll send it to you. You can even like pre-populate it.
Yeah, you just put it in the group or whatever. Like, people who come into the group, they'll probably have some access to that kind of those little really good, snippets. Because I mean, the more you make it easier for them, the more
exactly
easy for you. And in the end, you're going to make more money because
absolutely
all of those spammers now are going to get completely filtered out and blocked. And that's the point. So the problem is that, I mean, it sucks in a way because you have to spend time figuring this out or do it, or you can hire Amber to do it. But the reality is we're just in the middle of it.
Yeah, so we're caught in the middle.
Collateral damage, and they can't control what phone numbers you decide that you want to use on any given day. But if you register it, they can make sure that you're whitelisted basically, and you're good to go, right? So yeah. But let's talk a little bit about the urgency here, because we never really talk about exact dates, did we?
I think I kind of briefly mentioned it. So according to Twilio, now everyone is different, but Twilio is one of the most massive carriers out there. So if my thinking is, hey, let me follow suit with Twilio, because Twilio is kind of like the leader and giving the most information and help. They really want to help their users get through this.
They're on it.
They're the most proactive I've seen of any phone service provider in regards to, hey, here's how to get through it. So according to Twilio, June 1st, that's when the rates for T-Mobile and AT&T, you're going to see your cost per message go up if you're not registered.
What if you have unlimited text messaging or something? Or do you have that with business? I guess you don't have that with business, do you?
Yeah, with Twilio, you have to pay. I don't know. Now, I did see, was it Nextiva? One of the ones, they are actually absorbing some of those costs. And I said, good for them. I should have made a note of which one that is. But these fees are not from the phone service. These fees are from the carriers themselves.
Gotcha.
Like if you're not paying it, someone is, essentially, if they're not registered.
The will pay for it. There's no question.
Yeah, someone's paying for it.
They won't definitely pay for it.
Right. So you're going to see that. They've already kind of started blocking and filtering a little bit, but they officially said July 5th. So we got June 1st, higher fees. July 5th, we're going to start filtering. We're going to start filtering heavier. August 31st, we're cutting it off. Like if it's not completely registered. And here's the other thing about it. Not only is it deadlines, but there is a backlog. So as of today, Twilio was saying like it's 4 to 6 week backlog. And they're doing everything that they can to speed up that process for it. But the reality is, even if you get registered in enough time, if it's not completely approved by the deadline, you're blocked, right?
There's no way around it.
There's no way around it. Well, there actually, there's a little trick that we could do. Not a trick on that. You still have to go through that process, but you might have to, what I'm telling and this is even what Twilio recommended too, is, hey, go ahead, get this thing registered, let that process start, right? But also be open-minded to getting a temporary toll-free number. Yes. Because toll-free numbers were actually created for massive messaging. Therefore, the requirements are more lenient, and the process, you still have to register your messages, but the process is faster.
There's no way around this. You still have to register.
Yes.
You have to do that annoying, daunting, boring, confusing thing.
Yeah. And don't try to skirt it, man. It'll catch up.
Yeah. Amber can help you with all of that, guys. Because what I'm going to do here is in the link of in the description of the YouTube version of this, also in whatever podcast platform you use, in the description, if they allow it, they'll have everything in there as well. But we're going to really try to push you guys to go into her group, because I'm in her group right now, and she's putting out massive value, guys. She's putting out tons of free stuff, tons of educational pieces to this to allow you to be able to either do it on your own or just understand that Amber is the actual expert. And if you just don't have time or don't have the patience, or what, you just don't want to deal with it, then just reach out to her and she'll be more than happy. Like, this is her jam, guys. So, you know, this is something that I'm actually very impressed with, how you were able to bring this all together, you know, and because you know that there's an awareness here. But wasn't it, you said that it was August something that it was like we're going to be blocked?
Yeah, August 31st is what Twilio said. Yeah.
4 to 6, like 4 to 6 kind of like time frame for 4 to 6 week time frame to really get this done. There's like a waiting list, basically. They're just like trying to plow through all these. So if you think about it now, we're almost June 1st now, when they're going to start doing the filtering a little bit, right? Am I wrong?
Yeah, so June is the increased fees, July is the filtering. And what's going to happen is I'd imagine that the lag time is going to be worse, because everyone's going to say, oh crap, my fees are higher. And that then more people are going to start paying attention. And then especially when July hits, they're going to be like, oh crap. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
So if you guys don't want to, if you're having trouble now, just wait till July. All your calls will be blocked. Your text messages will be blocked. Sorry, August 31st. After that, all of it's blocked, guys. Blocked.
All of it's blocked. And this is, and I just want to reiterate, this isn't me. This isn't some marketing crazy scare tactic. You can go to Twilio.com, Google A2P 10DLC, right? Google this stuff. You can go to ftc.gov, dnc.gov. This is not me. This is from the FTC. This is from the phone carriers, and this is from your phone service providers. Like, it's going to happen.
And personally, like, listen, I've already reached out to some of my clients about this, not all of them yet, because I'd actually really wanted to have this podcast first before I dove into this. But I told them about, like, there's regulations coming out. They're like, no, I'm fine. Like, they're not taking it seriously enough to really see what the implications of what's going to happen here. So unfortunately, that's just going to be something that they're going to have to deal with when the time comes, right? But take this seriously. I promise you guys, you're no exception to the rule. Every single person who uses a phone number for the application to person is gonna get dinged if you don't register through platforms, right? Yeah. So I think that's pretty much covered it all, hey?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely a good start. We don't want to make anyone's head explode any more than we have to about this subject. But no, thank you so much for having me. I mean,
yeah, no worries. So
yeah,
so how would they want to reach out to you? You got some stuff for us right now that you can just like spit out to
So we'll go ahead and link to the Facebook group, but also if you go to protectmyphonerep.com, it's gonna have I'll have probably some kind of a welcome video there, and just links to different resources. I'll have links to my Facebook group, link to videos. I've got a couple of, like I said, I'm a visual person. So I've got some videos that I try to make as simple as possible. Like, literally, my daughter is 12 years old, and I literally tried to explain it to them to make sure that I explained it as simple as possible.
Honestly, I think even in this podcast, you articulated everything very, very well. I mean, sure, I've dived into this a little bit before this, and I did the Twilio webinar, so I do have more of an understanding of it. But I'm telling you, before that, I was so confused, which is probably why I put it off. Right. Because it's like, I don't even understand it. It can't be that. It's like super complicated, so it's not going to be relevant to me. That's not the case here. It's actually very relevant to everyone. And you articulated it, I think, very, very well. And I think the listeners are going to really appreciate that you put out this awesome value today. But what's the name of your Facebook group?
Oh man. Oh, let me double check. It is Protect My Phone Number. Yeah. Just type in Protect My Phone Number. And then it's call and SMS delivery. So you can type in Protect My Phone Number. It's got a purple background. On there. I'm sure it'll pop up. I haven't done a type to search to see if it'll actually pop up, but I also have the word A2P 10DLC in the title, so it'll pop up there as well.
So
protect my phone number is the Facebook group. And if you like to get access to the resources, protectmyphonerep.com. I'll also put a form on there if you want. I plan on having different levels of support. I've got the free Facebook group. I plan on having even like for the DIYers that maybe, they submitted it and it came back that, like kind of like a smaller group support. That will be probably a little bit of a paid community, but I've also got a complete 100% done for you. I don't want to touch it. I don't want to deal with it. So we're trying to just bring awareness and make options for everyone, no matter so you can decide what is the best fit for you and your company.
Yeah, for sure. And guess what, guys? Here's a real hidden gem, a real hidden secret. She's also in our Facebook group. This is a private Facebook group for concrete coating contractors. So I don't know if you're good with that, Amber, but
yeah, sure.
Send her a message on Facebook Messenger if you got any questions or want to set up a meeting with her. That is also another way to do it. But if you're not there yet, definitely go to her Facebook group and just take it all in first and just try to get a really good understanding of it, or watch this multiple times. Also, watch or listen to this podcast, share it to everybody that you know. That isn't even just if you have buddies and acquaintances and you have a big circle of people that you're in with other groups, service businesses, period, right? They all need to know about what's happening here. So share this podcast with everyone, right?
If it's okay, please share this, because this is one of the reasons why I'm passionate about it, is because the home services niche in general, we are behind on everything. Marketing tactics, everything. We're behind as a whole. And I'm like, we can't be behind on this. The dates don't change for us. And so please, if you can hit the share button, bring awareness to this. Even if I'm not I'm gonna have a team of people helping me that I'm guiding through this. So I'm gonna be at a capacity too. But that's why it's more and more important. Even if you don't have me help you specifically, be aware, take action on this pretty please.
Yep.
Because all of us, our livelihood depends on it, period. If we can't reach our customers, we have no business. So
now that we're scared, everybody.
Right? Not us. It wasn't us.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. So
awesome.
Thanks for coming to this podcast. Sorry I interrupted you a couple of times, but I still think we were able to get everything out there. I really appreciate coming on board. I think you're gonna really help change some businesses, for good. So I'm just really grateful that we were able to have this today. So thanks again.
Thank you.
Talk to you guys very soon. See you on the next one.
Awesome. Had a blast, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.